guys want to learn some anatomy?
Yes.
My mother sprained her ankle, so we'll be talking about ankles and feet. We always talk about feet, though. Where's my foot? There's my foot. This is what your foot looks like on drugs.
Have a good night.
See ya. All right. So, actually, we'll use Phil here. Can you see that in the camera here? Oh, you're good. You're good. So when we're addressing a sprain, we got to think about the antagonist, which is the muscle that does the opposite motion. So she sprained her tibialis anterior, which wraps around, comes medial. So it's going to do what? It's going to pull the foot up this way. Just something we do a lot in foundation training anyways. Muscle tends to be very weak and susceptible to injury too, because a lot of us like to throw our weight here, which doesn't put it in a great position because of the hips. So it has a lot to do with hip hinging. So that muscle tends to be weak, or it's tight and it's just stuck in a certain position. So that locks up your ankle. And also the arches collapse because we're not used to using them. So we'll notice as we kind of activate that muscle, it automatically grips because it wraps underneath into the arch here. So it wraps in along with its brother, posterior tibialis. But that one's on the back, so it's going to do plantar flexion, which is pointing of the foot, dorsiflexion, toes coming to your nose. So if I use those terms today, now you know. Your peroneals or your fibularis muscles kind of do the opposite. So they're going to be your everters, turning the toe out, and inversion, more of your tibialis muscles. So we'll talk a little about the day. So if we got a weak one that's injured, we have to think antagonist is probably.
Oh.
Question? Tight.
Tight.
Jeremy's like, I just got to adjust it. I don't care. Yeah, and it's like a pulley system. So if one's really tight, it's going to be pulling this way. So that muscle's under constant strain. Especially a lot of people, they don't really necessarily do something crazy. They're not like a soccer player.
Right.
It just, how did I sprain it? I didn't do anything. Trauma over time, microtrauma, just something's imbalanced. It's usually that opposite muscle that we need to address too. So we're going to be loosening that one up. It'll help relieve the tension off there. So we need to strengthen. Inversion, dorsiflexion will strengthen, anterior tibialis, and then we need to stretch. Automatically, when we're doing the exercise, we're automatically stretching the antagonist, but we can do some other stuff, digging in there to help it. All right, that's your anatomy lesson for today. I'll shut up. When I get my own skeleton, I'm gonna have fun. I'm gonna paint all the attachment points onto the skeleton. Some come, but come painted.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, with marks.
Oh.
But I'm just gonna, that's the way how you learn.
You can mark it up, right?
Where's my torture stones? Torture stones.
Many a stones.
Many a stones.
You did?
Y'all, my feet are raw.
We're gonna get stoned.
I went hiking. Yeah.
Then you don't
Not
need
the
this one.
entire time.
You may have a stone.
Oh, those are the right size for me.
And you give you the big one. I want the small one. 'Cause I'm a baby. So we'll warm up. We'll hit. There's lots of muscles here, but the plantar fascia, right here. So your calcaneus comes up, and that's where that fascia inserts. Obviously, it wraps around too. Joint.
Nice when you can right on.
Joins in with the calf and soleus. So put that right there. And we'll do our Patrick step. So the Patrick step is a anterior tibialis muscle engager. If this hurts, don't do it. But I'll show you on my good leg first here, because this one actually has some dorsiflexion unlike my right one. So we're taking the right leg, the left knees, we're gonna actually hinge that hip. Think about when we're doing the kettlebell swing, we kind of end up in this position. We're not throwing the hips forward. We're hinging, we're stepping that right foot forward. And I like to take my heel and actually push it firmly into the ground. So that knee is almost going a little bit over toes, knees over toes. So you can do that with a rock. If that hurts too much, don't do it. I'll show you my bad ankle. So setting up, you can even start foundation training style. Reach that. Limited motion there. I can feel it in the ankle. Stone's really working into that foot.
Doesn't hurt on that.
Doesn't hurt on that side?
Yeah, it sucks when you got it on this side.
Anybody watch Monty Python back in the day?
Back in the day.
Yeah.
They had a sketch called The Ministry of Funny Walks, and it reminds me of a good exercise. So you can take the Patrick step into an actual walk. So you're bending that one here, and then I'm driving this heel into the ground, which is actually activating that as well. So I'm using that heel to kind of grab, pull the ground towards me, step, and switch.
Is this the kung fu you were doing this morning?
Oh, you're watching me?
Oh, I mean, we all saw it.
Oh gosh, are you making fun of me?
No.
Yeah, I ran 400 meters backwards.
Yeah, and then you did the kung fu.
So this is the Patrick step.
Why is it called the Patrick step?
I don't know. I think it was a guy called Patrick invented it. It's the knees over toe guys. I think his name is Patrick. I don't think he's a physical therapist. He's just a dude with bad knees. Sometimes those make the
I
greatest.
think he worked with Mark Bell or somebody for quite a while.
Whew.
He's like
Balance.
prolific strength trainer.
Because if tibialis anterior is weak, antagonists of that as well are what?
How far are you supposed to squat down?
As far as you can go. I know you got like hypermobile knees.
I guess that would be good.
So try to make sure that hip is working as well.
So
If you really wanted to like make this scale to foundation training, you could hinge that up.
this seems really bad. It looks like my knee's going in and my foot's in the
Yeah, you want that. Well, you don't want the knees rotating. You want to keep them relatively straight, facing forward.
Okay.
And this might help you set up like this. Set up into our trace. Activate that inner thigh. And then you can let that, because you're actually already pushing
Yeah.
right into that tibialis anterior muscle with your heel.
Okay.
And that knee is responding by pressing back.
Oh yeah.
Every time I do that, and we'll do this more later, I feel my foot grab
That does
the
release
ground.
grab.
Forces like almost like you're grabbing the mat and throwing it behind you. It's smacked.
Hi, Mom.
Did I turn that off? It's still flashing. We're good.
And then it'll get you in that right
And that's a great position to then hinge, let the knee come forward, reach.
Okay. That is a good position.
Then you can come right back into that, reset. Because your tendency is the spine is going to want to do that forward pelvic sway. This way you'll get that pelvis back.
Forward pelvic sway.
The pelvis moves forward. And then the hips turn out. Creates pretty much all the problems we have.
Right. That's what everyone does.
Because everything's flat.
Pel-
And we don't use our feet, so we have to train our feet.
pelvic sway.
Let's do a few of those and then we'll do a little warm up.
This way.
A lot of stuff you can do without pain. You're just balancing on one leg. Shouldn't be too bad, but if it does hurt, a lot of this you can do seated. Put a kettlebell on your knee. So about 30 reps you can do, or you can just do like really, sometimes if you foundation training your way out of this, it's like 5 tough ones is worth 30 sloppy ones, which I prefer, especially if something's injured. You want to be very careful and controlled. Again, these foam rollers are here as, especially with this exercise, broom handle works well. You can use it to hold yourself up. It's not cheating, you're just building up to where you need to be. Take the hand off.
Or it's not a cheating.
Not cheating, it actually helps you kind of get some length. Move up to your sphere of tension if you want to.
I feel it stretches out that hip.
All right, so let's use that balance we just created. We'll do some reverse lunges.
Sometimes it's better to do slowly for me.
So we're going to do 5 on each side. So we'll start left foot down. Trace that right heel up.
Left foot down.
And what we're going to do is you'll reach this behind. Let's go kind of shallow. Right here, it's kind of light step. Back up into the trace. This time we'll go a little farther. Kick that leg behind you even more. Hinging over the left hip. Trace it up. Keep inching.
Go further each time.
Further each time. Get your breath working with it. Let's let that knee come down to the ground. Very lightly to the ground.
Are you on the ground? Okay.
Let's make some fists. Punch towards the ground with your fists as your feet and your knee push up towards the ceiling. And we're just gonna go straight up here. Driving through that front heel, back toes lifting. Lightly tap the knee down. This works well with weight. We might try that later. Let's do one more. So we're going to come up to the top. And I want you to hinge back. So we're trying to straighten that back leg, straighten the front. Hinging over top.
Modified pyramid.
Go into your founder. Got the balance, you can really bring that toe up for a few reps. It's very challenging.
Wow, that is
Grip. Let's go through that one more time. Punch down. So we're coming up and then we're hinging, pulling that hip away from that forward foot. Reach, 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 reach. That should make that forward foot grab the ground. You should feel that where your hamstring inserts right into your buttocks. Pressing up. Scoop up, hinge. Down, and then we'll stand up. So we'll take this right arm. Perfect, Jeremy, good. Let's do the other side. Change my angle here. So we'll do a few slow ones like we did before. Right foot's down. Make sure I got some wingspan behind me. Tracing that up along the shin. You can add the fist now if you want. Inhale at the top. Exhale towards the movement because you're trying to get the air out so you can hinge and fold. One more super long one. And we'll set the knee down. And I like the fist, but you can definitely do half sphere tension here. If you're new to it, you kind of feel it more with the fist. Do 5 up and downs. And then let's do 5 hinges. These out of the way so you can see. There we go. Come up, we're still pressing towards the ground. Hinging, straighten the back leg. Gripping the ground with the front leg. All right, shake it off. Let's have you go on your backs.
I like that. That's good stretch.
Let's see,
Work.
fancy way to get down.
It's a lot of work, is that what you said?
Yeah.
We have to pretend like we're actually working because my mom's watching.
It's a lot of work. You never hear you say like that. He's like, more.
lost like so much strength though.
Anchored bridge. So enough gap in between the heels. Of course, it helps turn the hips in, but also it's like we're taking our heels and we're pinching the mat with them. So try to take the heels and pull them towards each other. They have to press down first into the mat, then squeeze. Just like we're doing an anchor when we're standing, we're squeezing, and then pull the toes up into dorsiflexion. And that's usually a great activation. I almost feel the burn instantly.
Oh my gosh, that's really good.
You can reset that as many times as you need. Feel like the feet are getting sloppy. Rotate them in. Squeeze the mat. Dorsiflex. Toes towards your nose. So let's go hands, half sphere of tension. Pressing forearms, fingertips into the ground. So we're going to take our right foot. Let's externally rotate it, bring it into internal rotation. Trace that heel along your shin. When it gets up right to the kneecap, left hand to right knee, pressing into each other. Shin is pressing into your heel, which is pressing back. A couple different isometrics all at once. This is right where your tibialis anterior is, where you're tracing.
Okay, so you said your left inside of your knee is pressing against your heel.
Let's see, you were doing it right. Just really pull those toes up. Dorsiflex both feet, yeah.
Oh.
Trace down, let go of the knee. Reset that. Heel squeeze, dorsiflex. Left, rotate out, rotate in, place it on the shin. Some rhyming here. One harder than the other. Trace it down. Both together. Squeeze. Let's do a few breaths. So as we breathe in, we're going to dorsiflex, flatten the lower ribs to the ground. You can do your measuring stick hands here just so you can feel that engagement. Exhale, point the toes. Inhale, dorsiflex. Point the toes on the exhale. You get good engagement, you'll feel those bands on either side of your spine. I'm feeling my right more. It probably tells me it's tighter on that side. There's lots of little bands there. There's 2 to 3 layers of thoracolumbar fascia where your spinal erectors, your lat muscles, your QL muscles, all insert. It's a hub of restriction. Forces the hips forward, forces the feet to collapse. All right, hands back to the ground. Squeeze the inner thighs now. Let's roll those in like an ancient Taurus scroll. Roll your femurs towards each other. You're closing that scroll. My mother takes tours to Israel, so she understands the Taurus scroll analogy, hopefully. And we're going to push our heels firmly in the ground. Keep that dorsiflexion. We're going to push so much with our hands and with our heels that it lifts our hips up off the ground. Press your head into the ground too, back of the skull, and relax. Check that out. Looks so simple, but it's so hard. I'm going to change my angle just in case they can't see my feet. Oh, I forgot I had this TheraBand for demonstration purposes. What are you guys feeling? Besides pain. Knee hurts. Which side?
My left, but that's because of laying around so much my Achilles and stuff.
You just said you walked like 6 hours today.
Yeah, I did. But this has been really tight.
There, I'll go this way.
I can feel it like wrap underneath my foot.
Yeah.
Sharp pain.
And where's the knee pain?
Like here.
There. Maybe some tight outer thigh too. Might be tight inner thigh. Does look like your knee rolls though. So yeah, a lot of times the hip is the problem and it just descends and you might not even feel the hip being the problem, but the injury will happen in the knee or in the foot or in the ankle. So this will probably be good for you because you're wrapping, turning in that leg. So just pay attention when you're turning in, see which one feels like more like restricted going inwards. And then you could even focus on rotating, internally rotating that one leg more than the other. But if it hurts the knee, don't do it. It should actually kind of relieve it though. Might feel like a stretch, a good stretch is what you want.
It doesn't bother me to do this.
Okay. Let's do another set of those because it was so much fun.
It's intense, that's all.
It's a good way to learn the decompression breathing because you have the ground to push against here. All right, so set up, pull those heels, which are maybe 2 inches, 3 inches apart. Squeeze them, big toes together. Let's add that hip rotation here.
And you're pushing into the ground with your heels.
And I'm pushing to the ground with the heels, slight bend in the knees as I'm lengthening the spine. You'll feel the hamstrings, especially when we go into the bridge, stretching. Well, they're being stretched, but they're also being engaged. We're using them in a lengthened position. Hamstrings are not so much tight as they are short, but also weak. They're not used to actually working through a full range of motion. And the hips tuck and sway forward. They're just always short, and they're always pulling in the knee. So we think, oh, they're tight, so they must be strong. But they're only strong in that position. As soon as we start straightening the leg out and try to activate them, your body's like, hell no, that's hard. So you're retraining it in a comfortable, safe position. Well, maybe not comfortable, but in a safe position.
We're safe.
Safe from injury.
I think that's awesome. I think you're safe and I think
Not that foundation training in a standing position isn't that safe, but tendon sprains make you not want to do much. Inner thighs can also work the hips a lot. You're going to feel that adductor burning. It's burning. Shins are burning. Heels still pressing in. Yeah, breathe. We'll skip the traces. We'll go right to a bridge. Big breath in. Press your head, back of the skull, into the ground, heels into the ground, hands on the ground, lift. Let's try to float the hands up over the height of your heart. Press that sphere of tension towards the ceiling. Bring that sphere of tension overhead. Back down, hands to the ground. Let's raise, right leg in the air, left leg, press down and keep your butt up. Other side. Hips off the ground. And relax. That was good. That's the level up there.
Yeah, it's a serious level up.
I need to level up.
Shouldn't have done all those deadlifts yesterday.
Oh, that's good stuff. All right, let's do some fun mobility work here. So we'll bend your left knee, put the right knee, or do like a pigeon pose to the left, so your butterfly pose out to the left side. Right knee bent. You do a crunch, sit up, come back down, sit up and get up into that position. There we go. That's a tough one. That knee go over the toe. Let's roll back down. Switch it up. That foot has to do a lot of work here to propel you into that position. Never done sit-ups like these before.
That's where we did owling. Remember that? Owling was in?
Owling?
Crouch, owling. You crouch on things and pretend.
No,
No,
sorry.
I'm too old, aren't
You're
I?
too old.
You don't know about owling?
No, are you from, was that around here?
Uh-huh. Yeah, you crouch down like on a wall or something, just like you are right now.
I must have missed that cue.
You did, yeah, you were in Pennsylvania.
Let's go 90-90. Left leg at a 90-degree angle. Both feet are kind of off to the left side. So we'll use that forward right leg to lift us up. And we'll reach out as we fold. Butt taps the ground, come back up.
It is?
Yeah, very much so.
Oh, he didn't make this.
Sometimes I'm like, what are cool ways to get up off the ground? This is one of them.
Yeah.
So if you want to take this to a standing position, you just come here and you just easily go there. And another cool way is you can just bring that back
Yeah.
and you can flip, go there, get the other side.
Fun.
And of course you could use your hands to build up to that. So you're challenging the foot in a lot of weird positions. It's just not used to being used. And it should be fun when you're not injured. This is probably not so great if you are injured. Mom is probably confused and angry.
She's like, I guessed you for help.
Stick to the initial stuff. All right.
You should just do lots of these.
That's really good for stretch, huh?
That's good. Let's do some squats. Water break.
Yeah.
Water break.
I'm glad I could come tonight.
So adding weight obviously actually helps the feet. So that first exercise we did, just a reverse lunge. I like 2 kettlebells or 2 dumbbells, but one actually throws you off balance, which is nice. Test your balance. Just gonna demonstrate, but we'll do a few of these. So, setting up, I'm gonna take a step back. You can even start here, kind of grab that bell, and you're coming up. So now your shoulders are being pulled down, and your feet are lifting the spine and the skull up. And you want to lift up enough, because if the bell touches down, you can tell you're compressed. If you're up and big and tall, that bell should just hover. And you can run through that same transition where you're here, and then you start hinging, holding those bells. All good stuff there. And then my favorite, the RDL, bringing that back, kicking that back leg.
What is your favorite? They really are, huh?
So good.
Because it stretches your hamstring and activates it at the same time. Which
Yeah.
is beneficial to stagnant stretch. I'm pretty sure.
And it targets, active stretch. A lot of people are yogis. They're not activating. They're not pushing the ground away.
They're balanced.
Goose knows because she's used to lifting. She's already, her body's been taught that cue. So adding weight, it's like, oh, I gotta lift up. Sometimes you're here, just like, yeah, I don't really feel it, Dr. Immediately I feel like I'm not activated. I feel like the knee. I'm just using my joints. I'm not actually using my muscles. Oh, I feel everything's protected now. The motion's more isolated where I want it. Weight helps you with that idea. It might hurt you with that idea, but it's a good trainer. What was I going to say? Oh, glute medius, or glute minimus, is activated with that RDL as well. Like you said, hamstring stretch right here. And that's usually where you'll feel it burn on the planted leg.
Okay.
Good burn. This week on a lot of people can have a sciatic type pain referral path. So a lot of times chiropractors like just in the spine, and it's a glute minimus weakness because it can have that pattern where it comes wraps around the side, down the calf. You're like, oh, it must be my sciatica.
That's what a lot of people think.
Could be that.
My problem is right now on my left side.
A lot of people.
More of that.
Well, test it out with this. You don't have to do too much weight, but see which side feels a little weaker, a little unbalanced.
Okay, what are we going to start with? An RDL?
RDL, or you want this one? So I'm gonna do my right side. So I like to set up with the knee.
Okay, so are we doing what, like, okay,
Just do right.
like this?
The reason we do this, right? The trace is to help engage psoas, the core, big breath, transverse abdominis, that big cylinder that's just gonna protect your pelvis, your sacrum, lower spine. Because the last thing we want is that motion to happen at your spine. We're here, we're bringing that knee up to engage. Other arm comes out for balance. Trying to bring that bell almost back to the left of my right heel. It's right beside the heel. If that's too far, work your way back. Most people are gonna here, right? How's my posture look, Jeremy?
Good.
It's terrible.
Your shoulders look hunched.
Hunched, felt rounded. All right, let's see if this looks any better. A little more active.
Now you look straight like a table.
Straight like a table. Foot's getting a lot of work here.
Okay, that's what
You'll feel all those tendons working. They're not used to working. They're in shoes all day long. We're walking on flat surfaces all day long. They're shut off. All these nerves that we have don't get activated. What's great about foundation training is you're teaching yourself how to walk better. So that's the fix. Everyone's
That's not too bad.
everyone's doing rehab.
What
Yeah.
are you supposed to do with this back leg?
Watch the back leg. See how Jeremy's
Keep
You
it
wanna
straight.
dorsiflex it?
dorsiflex and he's really straight.
Oh, look at it. It's dorsiflex.
That helps you keep your balance.
Let's try that. Jeremy says dorsiflex, back leg. I'm liking it. I might do that automatically. I can't tell. There's so many moving pieces you'll add.
Yeah, so you're
It's gonna turn a little bit. That's okay. Just try to keep it as straight as possible. A lot of people, when they do it, their leg kind of just does this,
Oh.
or they'll kind of just rotate their thoracic spine to get the bell down, and then the leg goes that way. See both those, because we're setting up here. We're setting up the chest, right? So I want my chest. Keep your nipples straight. How about that? It's awkward, but I say the same thing with the pelvis. The eyes of the pelvis straight.
I think Goose says when you dorsiflex that back foot, it helps rotate that right hip back down. Like, so if I'm dorsiflexing my right foot, it's helping to rotate my hip back down towards the ground.
Yeah. It's activating the whole kinetic chain when you dorsiflex. I get all my bad terminology from Ridgeline. They teach me like bad phrases. Like the high pull is the, what is it? I can't remember. Oh, spring break, the spring break pull. I'm like, come on, Tim.
Oh, I see.
You never forget it though.
Right.
You get the form down, yeah. So shoot for 5, 10 each side. Tell me what you're feeling. Gonna check you out. You can try to straighten that knee a little bit. It's okay if you don't go all the way straight. It almost forces the back leg to go straight. The more you reach, that back leg is gonna start straightening.
I like to hold on to this first.
Essentially, you're doing a one-legged hinge, if you want to think about it that way. One-legged deadlift, right? And deadlift, you're hinging, squatting down, pulling up.
Wow.
I did so many RDLs yesterday, and then
You take a break.
probably did like, I worked up to 250 pounds for my deadlift, which is okay.
Doesn't sound it.
Let's grab our foam rollers here. Jessica donated her foam roller. She said it was too aggressive.
That looks aggressive.
Let me see that thing.
He likes it. So once you got 10 on each side, I like to foam roll like after you've kind of loosened up the muscles. Some people foam roll first, and it's like you're rolling muscles that are cold, like they
That
say.
sounds painful.
Don't stretch when you're cold. Warm everything up. So let's loosen up that calf. Remember, tibialis anterior antagonist is plantar flexion. So calf,
Say it again, tibialis.
anterior just means front.
Front, tibialis. Okay.
So wraps there.
Those are
So it's going to
underneath
pull that, and it's going to internally rotate
your- Okay.
just like that. So it's here. You can see it kind of sticking up
Yeah.
right there.
Oh,
Wraps.
yeah, when you do that.
When you use the muscle, you can see it. Oh my gosh. So look at that. Look where it goes all the way up there.
Oh yeah, I can see it from here.
They were making fun of my shins today because I wore shorts. And they're like, what are all these scars on your shins?
Yeah, what have you done to yourself?
Jeremy, what have I done to myself?
Had fun.
I guess it's a combination of deadlifts and box jump fails.
Oh,
Yeah, my worst.
you're hitting your shins on things.
Yeah, you can know a CrossFitter just by their shins. They'll see
Yeah,
multiple
my-
scars.
My fail. That was my biggest fail.
The barbell, we kind of like scrape it.
On the bottom, too.
All right, so put that other heel right in that muscle. So you can flex it. Oh, I see it right there. Don't do that. And then just roll. You can put your whole weight on there. I like this kind of stuff. It's a pin and stretch with your own heel. So you're pinning the muscle down, and then you're using it. You'll notice, oh, that's way harder. It's like I got a weight on my,
Yeah.
or I'm pulling against a band. So you've changed that way that muscle is going to activate.
So this is like PNF then, huh?
It's PNF. What does PNF stand for?
Pin and stretch, huh?
No.
I don't know.
It's got a long name. Proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation.
All right.
So if you stretch your foot forward, woo,
A pin and stretch isn't necessarily that. It's when you pin and stretch. Like if I got somebody by the neck, and then I tell them, I do this on the neck a lot. It's like all right, I got that trap, holding the shoulder down, I'm lifting the skull, I'm stretching that trap, and then I have them push opposite of what I'm pushing. So you're stretching, and then you're activating, which is what we're doing here. And that actually helps retrain the muscle a lot better. If it's injured, maybe don't do it. Mom, be light on it.
your mom's sucking on a popsicle now.
She's not.
Help.
She's probably watching like Downton Abbey or something.
Looking over at her computer occasionally.
He's still going? What's wrong with him?
What is he doing to the popsicle?
All right, come relax that. Let's hit that calf. If this is tough on your wrist, you can use something like this just to kind of get your body weight there. Explore that calf muscle. Roll. Sometimes these are great for the spine, but those are great. Roll that to me for a second just so I
That
can
seems really bad.
It was
show that
amazing on
the
my
people.
spine, too.
Right here. You want some nodules and nubs to dig into those trigger points.
It's amazing.
It's a nice one. Thank you, Jessica, for that.
So what does it do if you have those things? How does that help you?
I just know I can hear my mom like, oh, there's my wrist to push.
Oh.
So
Oh.
fist, handles, you can use your kettlebell, you can use a dumbbell.
Something to heighten you a little.
That's good too, because then your wrist is locked.
Oh, yeah.
And even here for you foundation training folks, think gripping, right? We're always thinking sphere of tension, it's going to protect the wrists. They always tell us chiropractors to do fingertip push-ups, and that'll protect your wrists. So the same to a lot of people who are just using their wrists a lot all day or gripping, to widen the hand, which is what your feet should be doing when you're gripping the ground, widening, pushing, and that's going to save your wrists. You just got to work up to
I
that.
need to do this 2 days.
Spread those fingers. Yeah, if it's too much, go for the double.
Wow.
No shame in the double. I like to add the weight. Jeremy's loving that
Oh
over
God,
there.
you guys are like serious?
And the point of this is kind of find that spot. And then you're like, I got the spot. When you got the spot, you can, same leg that's down, do like maybe like the alphabet, trace it with your foot.
Oh yeah, alphabet, huh?
Big capital letters. It's gotta be in Hebrew though.
Oh no.
Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, Hey,
I want to try
Vav.
those things, those black things. I think that would help my wrist.
Pirouette.
What do you want? What do you want? What do you want?
Those black things.
Gotta pay for those.
Okay.
Gimel, Dalet, Hey, Vav, Zion. And then even if it's injured, especially, where's a muscle usually going to injure?
Where? At a
Usually
connection.
usually in the tendon. So it could be where it's connected. Sorry, wrong side. Where it's connected. It's going to go down there into the foot, big toe. We'll roll that in a second. So that you don't want to roll the tendon here, right? No point in rolling tendons. You want to roll the muscle. So we can roll this muscle. Just avoid rolling the tendon where it's injured. And that might actually help relieve some tension because a weak muscle tends to be taut.
Okay.
So it actually helps to do a little trigger point therapy on it, a little compression on it because it relaxes it. And then you can kind of go through a lot of the stuff we just did to activate it because we're going to loosen it up. That's a big problem with using a psoas.
Oh.
People loosen up the psoas, their back feels so much better. They don't teach the psoas then to engage, and they don't breathe with the psoas, so then the problem just comes back. So this is half the solution, right? Half the solution. All right, let's get.
Gymnasts use things like that.
Who does?
Gymnasts.
Yeah, Adam makes his own out of wood. They're nice. He makes a lot of weird things.
Who's Adam?
He's a coach at Ridgeline. He makes me feel dumb.
He's so knowledgeable.
Oh, he's super in.
I act dumb to get good knowledge.
Yeah, it's like
I don't understand this.
serratus
Explain better.
anterior what?
And that's his job, right?
Yeah.
He has his days where it's just like you can feel like you're in gross anatomy lab. Like, am I at a CrossFit gym? What's going on?
Has he recently done this schooling?
No, it's just years and years.
life.
You go into like his office and there's like 50 plaques
50 plaques.
of like education. So roll your anterior gently on the foam roller. So that's gonna be on the lateral side, the outside. If you're rolling on the inside, you'll notice there's just bone there. So shin splints. Anyone ever have shin splints?
My sister used to.
Shin splints actually aren't in the tibialis anterior, but it could be involved because it attaches along the bone through fascia into the periosteum. So when you break a bone, what hurts is actually the periosteum. It's actually the bone that does. Bone has no pain nerves. So the bone, when you break it, doesn't hurt. It's the casing, the periosteum, the covering.
Periosteum?
It's the covering that connects the muscle to the bone.
This sounds terrible.
So you have that all throughout your body. All your bones have little sheaths of periosteum, which are highly innervated and sensitive. So a bad sprain can actually hurt worse than a broken bone. Broken bone can actually recover and heal a lot faster than a bad sprain. So doing this stuff is best before you sprain your ankle, right? Because recovery is harder, because it hurts. But the studies have shown you want resistance, you want to be using the foot. It's just finding that good balance of let's not hurt ourselves while we're doing it. But otherwise, if you just lay around and just ice and eat all the time, it's not going to heal it. It's not going to heal right. Might heal it, but it's going to be prone to damage again.
That's why you need to therapize yourself. Huh? Gotta find a way to get that part right in here that's still inflamed. I'll ask Savannah.
There you go. We'll see. They're brutal.
Let's put our arch up there. This is nice if you got like a heavy kettlebell. Just kind of roll that. This is kind of light. Again, this foam roller. Not going to feel it so much. Jeremy's going to get some nice work there, I think.
That'll be the other foot.
That's going to be the other foot. Roll that
That
out
might be good for
there.
your ankle, huh?
This is all for the ankles. What do you mean? What do you think we're here for, Heather? I want the other Heather back.
Yeah, you miss her.
No, I like you both equally.
That's
Oh.
what I tell my kids.
What?
Like you all
I
equally.
like you all equally.
Yeah, you have to.
You have to. Yeah.
So getting that knee over that toes is going to test your mortise joint here. That's where the talus articulates with your tibia. Mine very restricted. Got some arthritis there, so I'm always working on this. It's getting better.
Is it?
A little band right here around that, what we call the dome of the talus, which is part of the mortise joint, will help pull it backwards as the knee is going forward. Sometimes I'll just hold that with my thumb and that pinching feeling goes away. And this is a great position to work it. I like all this stuff because I'm stretching my hip flexor, I'm massaging my ankle. I'm all about saving time. You're doing like an hour of this stuff is a lot. You're not doing that every day. I'm just giving you ideas. Hopefully you can at least take one thing home with you. Forget all the rest.
Okay, this one is pretty good on that.
Oh, it's good. Yeah, I want to
Underneath
try
the
that.
foot.
Give me that torture.
Feels amazing. And my left arch is pissed.
Just from all the walking.
It's from all that laying I did.
I didn't know you were laying around.
Yeah, before I had surgery, I laid around for 2 weeks.
So, Jeremy, you've had a lot of foot problems in the past. What words of wisdom would you give my mother in her current predicament?
Just take care of it. And
Besides
learn
walking barefoot
learn
on
to
desert
engage
trails.
the bottom of your feet so that you're not letting your arch dump. I think that's like the hugest thing. Most of us don't even notice. Like if I don't notice, I just stand here, relax.
Yeah.
You can see my whole foot rolls in.
I feel like it's like you're like a tree and you're rooting into the ground with your feet. A lot of people they just squat, the feet are, like you said, they're just not activated. And you just squat and it's like, oh, everything kind of like collapses like a structure because the feet aren't working. Where's my foot? Tripod of the foot. You guys know, but the tripod of the foot is heel, ball the big toe, or ball the little toe. From here, that's your transverse arch. Ball, big toe, little toe, which kind of does this. You can see how it activates, squeezes those, spreads the toes, creates a triangle. Lateral arch, medial arch, transverse arch, suctioning the ground, like Jeremy's saying. So let's do a squat.
I always think about screwing my feet into the ground too. So
Break that down for me. Screw your feet in.
well, if I stand here and screw my feet in, then it automatically lines my knees up to go. Whether they dip over the top of it, they're in line with my foot, and then it automatically contacts those 3 points.
Yeah. I guess I kind of dig the ball the big toe in, and I kind of reach at the pinky, and then I'm like grabbing the mat, like I'm trying to bunch it.
Yeah.
So a towel or something you can grab, roots you into the ground. I'm lifting up against my structure,
So that might be a really good. It's like
and then squatting with that
when your arches hurt, and you're
activation.
getting like a towel,
Mhm.
and then trying to wad it up underneath your foot.
That's the classic PT exercise, yes.
Works so good. I mean,
Then you just got to put it into practice.
yeah.
How'd that feel?
Horrible.
No, well, yeah. You need to stretch it and breathe into it,
Oh yeah.
Maybe a few squats. Think about your feet a lot. Could even get your stone out. Test that out in the arches. Create some natural environment, right? Nothing's ever flat. Feet are meant to grab stuff. Stones are a little rough, but go outside and do it in the grass.
Standing
Stand on some gravel.
Chip seal's the worst thing to walk
Oh.
across. When they're getting ready to chip seal,
Let's say,
that fresh rock down, the way it's like chipped up, it's so sharp.
or cactuses. What's happened?
Cactus.
I got these
Terrible, you guys.
socks that were like, they're supposed to be cut proof, but they are not cactus proof. They're not puncture proof, and they're not goat head proof.
Oh.
Learned that the hard way. It sounds so great, but yeah.
No, don't walk across big strips of dry pine needles.
Oh.
They break off in your feet.
Yeah, some of those goat heads I was digging out for like 2 weeks later. And then you get it out and you're like, oh my gosh, that's been in there for months.
In you?
Yeah, on your feet.
Oh my
Like
God.
little
You
fibers.
were diabetic. You never know.
It gets to the point you're like, is my body going to dissolve this, or should I cut the foot open?
It really went in
It's
like
healing
that?
over.
Yeah, it'll get in there, yeah. Like, you're like Googling online, like, how long does it take for a goat head to dissolve in the bloodstream?
Years.
I got Michael at the gym to cut my foot open and take it out. I'm like, it's been in there for 2 weeks.
Get it
Can't take
out.
it. Just cut it out.
Dig them out.
You have an immune system.
I got something in my foot before I went into surgery, and
It's
then
the only jab I get, right? It's from goat heads.
Good job. So the rule is, since I have not been vaccinated, I can go to meet the baby if I have a mask, if I'm more than 6 feet away. I'm not going to do that.
Let's end with one little nice stretch. Really great for
Isn't that
tibialis
crazy?
anterior.
Sad.
Cossack squat.
Cossack.
So really want to think about the feet here. I know we always think about the feet, but heel. Pretending like
I did so many of these in
about-
yoga the other day.
think about that heel pressing into the ground, just like we're doing that anchored bridge. So as I'm hinging to my left, my right heel's pushing into the ground. You can see tibialis anterior activating. I'm hinging, letting that knee go over the toe. Make sure that the motion starts in the hip. And even with that planted foot, make sure it's not giving in. Make sure you're setting up. You can set up your grip.
Make a smiley face with your foot.
Make a smiley face.
Make a smiley face.
I'm not sure what that
Yeah,
means.
The outside of your foot, so smiley face.
Oh.
Oh,
So
yes.
if you grab the outside of your foot like a smiley face, it automatically engages the arch.
Smiley face, if
You
that
can
works for
tell
you.
You've done a lot of those. Look at you go.
So Jeremy's really getting down there. He's hinging and he's folding. That might be a little hard on the back. He can get really deep though. If you're new to this, upright, maybe just stop right there. Let the hip do the work. Here the knee's gonna start to go. You can get a little farther. But really I'm actually working that leg that's out straight. Stretching a lot of that.
Oh man.
Because the muscles on this side, you want to stretch those out, outside, stretch those out. Let's do 10 each side and we'll call it a day. Reset the grip. I have to even myself out here. You might notice one side's way easier than the other. Sometimes if the feet aren't activated, you're not going to feel that so great. I'm really gripping, pushing into the ground with that heel. And then I'm actually taking that heel and I'm grabbing the ground with this one, pulling myself back up.
Oh, that's the, okay.
Because you can just kind of like flop out of it. But if I got a really straight spine, I can use that heel to grab, pull me back to center. See how it's grabbing and pulling, almost like it's happening when you're walking.
Okay.
Your heel does do a little bit of that.
You're not using your knee, you're using your ankle.
The knee's bending, weight's in the hip. If you're feeling it in the kneecap, it might be too much for you. We do want to, knees over toes guy talks about
Okay.
the kneecap. So you got your muscle, rectus femoris, comes down, wraps around right here on the tibial, where this knee is twisted, right here, tibial tuberosity. If that's not used to this, it's going to hurt it.
Yeah.
But you do want to invest in trying to get a little farther each time. Test that range of motion. It's going to help you with your walking.
Thank you
So
for clarifying. Okay.
I am, watch my knees. I'm going to keep the weight back. Remember our chopping and hinging. Then here I can start letting that knee go farther. Now it's a little bit knee over toe,
Yeah.
but I still don't, the knee doesn't hurt. And I feel
you're
the
actually
motion in the hip.
using the inside of that heel to pull you back.
So bad would look like this. Started in the knee. I don't really feel I feel a little pressure right here.
Okay.
But weight's kind of too much in my toes. Heel
Okay.
started coming up a little bit.
Okay, thank you.
No hinge. That's
got
that
it. You
forward
got it
pelvic
shot.
sway. That's the butt wink, right? Where the pelvis tucks. You've given into that hamstring. Remember that hamstring? It wants to be short. From the sit bone down past the knee, if we are in this forward pelvic sway, it's always in this position.
Yeah, if you're forward.
So it's not strong anytime we start bringing the hips behind us and squatting. That's why a lot of people, when they squat, they kind of do this, because that pelvis wants to immediately, let's go here. I'm strong here, right?
You want to go real.
No, you're not.
Well, it is, but we need to, as soon as we get it here and force the body to work, it's like, ooh, I don't like it. Like you, your knees like to go out.
Oh yeah.
So for you, I almost want to like less knee over toe. Not that knee over toe is bad, but to balance you out. I want you to think straight down. Keep those knees back. Still pushing through all parts of the foot.
The goal is not necessarily see how low I can go. It's
Yeah,
more to keep
yeah.
it.
And it's good to go low to stretch. It's good for ankle mobility, but then where most people have struggle, especially if you've got like a kettlebell here, which is
But always try bringing your feet in underneath your hips and just playing with like the rotation of your feet. Because not everybody's feet should be totally 100% forward.
right.
Some people's body structure actually requires that. Some people actually, are better off a little.
That's
What looks weird to me. I'm like,
That's a great point.
I can do that, but I can also.
Some people's bodies just are supposed to.
Do that in front of the camera.
Do what in front of the camera?
That squat, that was good. That's a good point.
You want me to say stuff or?
No, just what you did. They can hear you, probably.
So just start with my feet in front, and I can squat here, but depending on structure, sometimes out here is better for some people, especially if your knees drive in. Putting your toes out a little bit is going to help drive them over your feet.
Both time his knees are going, following his foot. You see that, Heather? His knee went
Yeah,
right
I
over
see
his
that.
foot.
They do it better that time?
Well, yeah, because your knee's tracking over your foot more and not
Exactly.
letting it collapse to the inside.
So the mistake I made for a while was like, I know I want to be internally rotated. So I would go down and my knees would do this, and they were not going in line with the foot. And then I think that caused some ankle issues. So yeah, you could be here, but only if your knees can go over. So that depends on the hip socket.
Hey, check that out.
Yeah. And then finding like something to sit on too, like in practice. From there, once you find what tracks you good, then always just try and touch to a seat
Oh,
and then just drive back up.
yeah. Sit on the top of a kettlebell.
Maybe not that angle.
Maybe not.
It's a little low too.
That was great.
But most people, I feel they need the strength kind of midway. So most people can kind of go down here, they're nice and easy, and they can hang out here all day. I couldn't. I was very restricted. So for me, kind of forcing this envelope was good. But where it's hard for a lot of people is kind of coming up here and pressing away.
Like this.
That really forces.
Yeah, and then just and then think about that smiley face. Grab the ground with your feet.
So try this. Grab your kettlebell. It's right in front of you. Hold the handles. You're going to push up out of the hips. Push that bell away from you. Hang out right there.
Oh.
Yeah. And down.
Oh.
Good job.
So your
Good job.
hips,
Drove out.
hips are going to come back to counterbalance that weight.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's the best thing I ever learned.
Well, you learn new stuff every day.
It's a good one. Use it with a plate.
You got that on the video so I can watch that later?
Yeah, it's probably like 3 hours long, and you go home. My wife's going to be like, what the hell? Thank you for the stones.
How often are you going to stretch? All day long? Every day?
Feet feel good.
Thank you so much. Next.
Practice your Patrick steps.
Oh yeah. Those are pretty cute actually.
I think the whole office watched me do that across the parking lot this morning. Just pulling.
Pulling.
I like things that are functional. Normally when people do it, they're just kind of here.
But you're like, so I'm gonna walk across.
I like movement,
using
yeah, use it. Because then you're gonna start walking a little different. Most of us walk here, the heel doesn't do a lot of work. We're a lot in the forefoot. As soon as the hips start coming back, that heel is gonna start gripping and pulling, throwing the ground
Teach your
behind
body
you.
to do it.
Yeah. Naturally is going to start pretending like there's something to grab. It's going to create resistance.
I am. I'm gonna walk where I gotta go wrong. Can I do it in cover boots?
Peace be the journey.
It's the opposite. I've been practicing.
Tomorrow I'm going where there
Hi.
are rattlesnakes.
Thanks,
I gotta
Mom.
wear boots.